Well, Sean, tough day at the office for a lot of reasons. What's your reaction today?
Yeah, I mean, the obvious is, we weren't at the race. That's quite obvious for the first half performance. I thought it was slightly stronger second half without really asking too many questions, but certainly looked more like I wanted to look in the respect of trying to win a game. First half, we just looked subservient. We looked like a team that was tired. We looked like a team that had come off a big result. Sorry to say it, but we all say it, and I'm sure people in the media say it after the Lord Mayor's show. It was a big result the other night for many reasons. I haven't changed my tune with a group of players because they've took a lot. We've crammed so many things into sort of 5 days, no down days. They still won't get that. There's still work to be done. So I'm not going to start changing that because I said after Porto, I gave them a lot of credit for absorbing and delivering. Today they didn't have the same feel, from the off, physically for one. Which I spoke about my thing about fitness, not questioning other managers, my view of what they need to be. And then the detail in the performance, with too many backward passes, it invites a team that are high press, high energy like Bournemouth, it invites them on. And we never really got out of the habit of doing that. So that's certainly something we've got to speak to the players about. And then crossing the ball, we got in key areas and we don't cross the ball and all these things. But when the basics are not right, you often find the performance is not right, and the basics weren't right today, particularly first half.
And against a team that has come off an 8-day rest as well, it kind of looked that way, didn't it, right from the off?
Yeah, but that's the challenge that's right in front of us. Every Nottingham Forest fan, everyone involved with the club wanted that challenge, because you're in Europe. There's an amazing thing that is for this football club from where it's been over the years to where it is again now. But it is a challenge, but it is the reality. So I said to the players, they're not going away, the fixtures are there. So that's our challenge, working with the team constantly, trying to get them to the sharpness, fitness, the mental fitness where we need to be to compete in these competitions. Injuries as well, we've got to get people fit, of course, that's going to be helpful. But yeah, there's, it's one of them weird things about football. You're never miles away. If you take away a really poor decision basically from the officials, I think everyone knows that, and that'll be shown, I'm sure, endlessly because that's a head scratcher. I get booked in the same thing. I don't know how I've got booked for just remonstrating an actual factual mistake. I don't understand that. But that's no excuse. Overall they were the better side, and the second goal as well. We don't. That's that bit I'm talking about, that focus and that fitness to pay the attention and the detail, because their lad drives through. We're all standing watching it. That's where we've got to change, and that comes without. It's not just fitness, but that mental fitness to stay tuned in at all occasions. And that's what they've done very well, and I'm not going to take anything away from them because overall they were the better side.
I don't want to go over it, but I am going to go over it. That first goal, I mean, it's not corner in the first place. Was Matt Sells fouled then as well?
Well, it's a minor foul, but sometimes you get them. But the corner's bizarre, and I just can never. And this is not new news, I've been saying this for years. How the linesperson makes a decision and the referee overrules, and when the referee hasn't got the view that the linesperson's got, I can never work that out. I really can't. And I've had this many times with the powers that be. Why is the referee allowed to overrule the referee's assistant when they've got a perfect view of it? The referee's assistant gives a goal kick. I think that's clear on the footage. Also, the staff tell me, I've only seen it just a bit when it goes out. But look, we can deal with it better after that. But you could see by the reaction of the players that they're flummoxed, when it does go in after the decision. And then the second one, like I say, was not us reacting. We're just watching someone, when they're reacting. And that's what they've done really well here. They're not just their physicality, they've got players who react to everything, anticipate. And we just look a bit flat-footed today, it's just like couldn't get the mist out their eyes type of thing. So that's something that's got to change. Slightly better second half, and I was pleased with the change and what they gave to the team. But yeah, there's a lot to work on, but I think we all know that.
Yeah, I was going to say, you didn't waste any time, did you, with making those changes, 3 at half-time?
Yeah, I mean, it was nothing about the players. It's the physical side of it. They looked flat. There was no energy to it in the first half. And like I say, we've got to work on that, with the group, and I've made that clear to them. But equally, I like to be balanced in my views. I did say after the Porto game, it's a step. There's loads more. I told the players the same thing, by the way, I often do. What I say to you is very similar to the players. And I said it's a step, and it's an important step, but there's loads more to come. And I think the biggest thing I pointed out to them is raising your minimum. Today we've had a poor first half by our standards, and yet you could come in and should 0-0, and then you've got a chance to operate. 2-0 against, soft goals, albeit the decision. It gives, it's an uphill climb there, so that's something we've got to eradicate. Is them, just switching off, soft moments, because you have to focus for 95 plus minutes nowadays. That's the way the game is.
I'm sure everything you see and everything you've seen since you walked in the door is kind of learning for you, and you're learning stuff. Do you learn more in a game like today than you did like on Thursday night, for instance, or is there not much between?
You can learn from both. I mean, Thursday night, the endeavour was right. We all saw that. Players playing at the top end of their game. I'm sure there's more to come, but, there wasn't a player out there where you would question. But doing all the basics right, the basic energy, the commitment to the cause, which, don't get me wrong, they've done very well over certainly last season. And today just flatlined. So like I say, raising the minimum. Maximum looks after itself. When you're playing like we did the other night, you look after yourselves, but raising the minimum. What about a day when it's not quite your day? What about doing all the ugly hard yards and all the details? And then you can get a result, and that's something that we've got to work on, that mentality to do that. And they've done it last season. It's not going back there because we're a different group again and we've got injuries, different group, but it's reminding them that there's something to build on because they were terrific last season. And I will remind you they've been terrific since I've been here, taking a lot of information on. Today, the first half is really, really hurts, and that's a gripe of mine, but it's a work in progress, that's for sure.
And just finally from me, how important is this week ahead on the training pitch? Because you don't have a midweek game.
No,
there's maybe not many weeks like that.
No, and they're going to have to work. I've already told them. I said, look, there's no respite. We'll be in tomorrow. We'll try and get them a down day, probably Wednesday, because of the work we're going to put into them. But no, there's lots of work to be done. And, thanks for the Forest faithful. They've come a long way, as I know down there. So thanks for their backing and support. I think they know that we'll be working hard.